Listen to this. Carnegie Hall, a tribute to George Gershwin. Audra got her first big break when she was 23 and auditioned for a revival of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel.
It's a kind of famous story in the theatre community that Audra had already sung for me and sung for the music director, and we were knocked out, wiped out.
Nick Hytner was the show's director.
And she had to come back and sing for the Rodgers and Hammerstein families, who were taking great interest in the production.
It was the final callback. I was sort of aware of the enormity of the situation.
And she'd just come off a flight. She walked in, opened her mouth to sing, and within 2 bars, she collapsed, dead on the floor, fainted, clean away.
It all just became a bit too overwhelming because I realized that this could possibly be it. And,
so you go out to audition and...
pass out.
She got up again pretty quick, and then she sang as if nothing had happened.
And got the part of Carrie Pepperidge.
I first saw her perform in Carousel, and it was one of those moments in the theater where your heart just sort of leaps up.
Frank Rich, long the theater critic for the New York Times, was tough, hard to please.
Do you remember anyone on Broadway, anyone, who at the age of 28 showed as much promise for Broadway stardom as Audra McDonald?
The only person I ever saw at such a young age, and she was a little younger, is someone you profiled many years ago, Streisand.
It was for Carousel that McDonald won her first Tony as Best Featured Actress in a Musical. The critics' raves were universal, almost. One critic, John Simon, called her
militantly charmless. And that cracked me up because it was obvious to him, oh, she shouldn't be playing this role because she's black. You know, she's obviously, you know, a Farrakhan follower, and she obviously, I mean, I kept joking, you know, that, yeah, I had a pick in my head, and after every scene, I'd, Mr. Snow, Black Power! When the children are asleep, we'll sit and dream all alone, things that every other day.
So, has the color of her skin been an obstacle for Audra on Broadway? I
have been very lucky, and I have worked with some people who have helped to open other people's eyes a little bit more and say, yes, you can colorblind cast to a certain extent. Yes, this does work in this situation. Yes, let's pay attention to the talent and not to the color here. Is when the children are asleep, I'll dream with you.
Her second big Broadway role came in the play about operatic star Maria Callas called Masterclass. Four-time Tony Award winner Zoe Caldwell played Maria Callas.
What's the quality in her that attracts you so much?
Number one, she's a great blazing star.
Yeah, she is.
She is the sort of talent that comes along very rarely.
Miss Caldwell says she made that judgment after playing just one scene with Audra.
I did a little bit of the scene, and then I got down on my knees and I said, please, Lord, let us have Audra. And we had Audra, yeah.
But if you were to walk down Broadway today and talk to the first 100 people who came along and ask, who is Audra McDonald, how many of them do you think would have any clue at all?
At the moment, no, maybe. At the moment. But wait. Wait.
It was for Masterclass that Audra won her second Tony, again for Best Featured Actress. As we said, she received her classical training at the Juilliard School of Music in New York. She had turned down a music scholarship to UCLA. Because there was no Broadway in LA, and I just wanted a ticket to New York.
It's a tough school.
It is a very, very tough school, and it was tough for me, especially because I was there in this classical program and not wanting to be there. I was in the wrong place, and I could see Broadway, you know, from my dorm room. And what was I doing, you know, singing in Italian?
She survived, prospered even, and was working in the theater even before she finished college. And by now, she is a dyed-in-the-wool New Yorker. She lives on Manhattan's Upper West Side with Peter Donovan, her companion of 6 years, a musician who also works in the theater.
You want to have kids?
Yeah. Badly.
Really?
Yes.
Well, then why don't you marry Peter and have some kids?
Because I need to get to a certain place, I think, where I am comfortable enough to take some time off from my career to have children.
Daddy never knew that you were on your way.
Audra's third Tony was for her role as Sarah in Ragtime, also for the third time as Best Featured Actress.
I just stop and run, only thing in my head.
Which raises the question, does this great young talent have the star power for a leading role on Broadway? One composer is betting that she does.
This young woman came in and sang a song from Hello Again, and we were floored.
Why were you floored?
I had never heard my music sung as beautifully as that.
Michael John LaChiusa is one of Broadway's bright young composers.
I said to myself right then and there, I said, I have to write her something someday, something full and amazing and like she is.
On the basis of just that one
Just
audition?
that one number, yeah.
Really?
We are ruled by our brothers. We are ruled by our husbands. We jump at the voices of our masters and do as they say.
And he did write a play for her called Marie Christine. This is a song from it.
We have to be beautiful, and it helps to have a dowry of some kind. We have to show humility.
Scheduled to open in the fall, it's a musical about a modern-day Medea, an enchanting murderess. And for Audra, it could be make or break.
You're putting yourself on the line.
Completely. It's also hard having, you know, sort of 3 Tonys behind you, because I think people will think, okay, well, now's the real deal. Can she do it? Can she pull it off as a leading actress in something? And I think a lot of people will make their sort of final decisions for the moment about me with this show.
And I've seen that show in a workshop version, Marry Christine. And
With her singing?
with her singing. And I'm sure that that will establish Audra as the leading Broadway performer of her generation.
Sweet minstrel, rock before you attack. One in the front and then slip through the back. Be on your way back to paradise.
I saw a workshop of that.
And?
Wait. Just wait.
You're going to be on stage a lot during this one?
It's the whole thing, you know, it's Medea, so it revolves around her.
Stamina.
Yes, that's something I don't have. I'm going to have to learn to get that.
Vocal stamina, of course, is a big deal for any young singer. She works on it every week with her voice coach, Arthur Levy.
Okay, on E. I
hate these.
Marie Christine. Is it a tough role?
It's very strenuous, and it's not easy time spent on stage either. You know, I mean, there's the wife to kill, the kids to kill. I mean, you know, there's lots of stuff to do.
Meantime, Audra's first album has been released. It's a foray into the music of modern young composers, songs with themes of adultery and feminism and abortion. A daring and a generous thing to do for a young talent whose career might be better served by doing standards.
I was sure that all I ever wanted was a life like the movie stars led.
Again, Frank Rich.
The biggest question is how she can fit into contemporary show business. She's got to find her way in a tougher climate. Tougher because her talent is so special, and it doesn't really fit quite into any one art form.
I'm sure that some people will say, well, Audra's going to have to find real fame outside the theater.
Whatever is what I say to that.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people would think that.
Tonight,
Well, take a look at Mandy Patinkin, a great Broadway star, but until he did the TV series Chicago Hope, his name went largely unrecognized across America. Hearing McDonald sing this classic from West Side Story in a tribute to Leonard Bernstein, you're reminded of a time when Broadway was a frequent launching pad to stardom.
And what was just the one is the star.
That Broadway seems to be gone. The kind of shows that are done on Broadway are big ensemble spectacles.
And there's no star on Broadway, no musical comedy star like a Martin or an Andrews or a Merman.
Because there's no work for someone who would be a star in that way now. Shows, whether it be The Lion King, Les Miserables, Cats, Phantom of the Opera, Ragtime, they're for companies. The show is the star.
I see what I want to see. I know what I want to know. No. I don't need you to tell me what's true.
If someone's going to reverse that, it could just be Audra McDonald, for she has the power and the charisma and surely the talent.